Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Andrew Colsky. He's the founder of Be Picked and creator of the Credibility Generator, also the author of Left of Trust, where he explores how professionals can become the trusted expert before the first conversation ever happens. So we will learn from him why so many professionals get found but never chosen, and what actually happens in a client's mind before they ever reach out. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thank you so much, KAJ. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Andrew. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people, a lot of businesses across the country, across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about how clients choose you before the first conversation. We'll talk about all this, but before that, let's talk a bit about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Sure, absolutely. I'll give you a brief synopsis here. So I started life after college as a professional myself. I started as an attorney. I have served as a trial lawyer, which is relevant to what I actually came up with here. I also have a degree as a mental health counselor, so I use a lot of psychology in the work that I do. And so in building my own professional practices, I learned that there were a lot of problems and issues that other professionals had, that they needed help. I needed to develop my own help, and eventually that's what got me to this conversation today.
Absolutely, this conversation today. And so we'll be talking about the conversation that goes on in a client's mind. So tell us a bit about that part. Why is it not enough in today's time to be just, getting found enough? Isn't that enough, or there has to be more beyond that? Help us understand in that backdrop. And
Sure. So let me put it into perspective for you. So let's take an attorney. It could be any professional service provider, but let's talk about an attorney. An attorney spends a lot of time going to school, a lot of hard work. They have to pass a bar exam. They have to do a lot of things in order to get to the point that they can actually practice law. And they are, and they should be, very proud of their accomplishments and their degree and all the things they've accomplished from an educational perspective. And then they get out there and they start to practice. But they realize they have to have clients, and the clients don't come so quickly or so easily. And the thought process generally is, well, if I just tell them that I went to this great school and I've done all this wonderful work and I've won all these cases, then it's obvious they should choose me. And they don't. And that's what this whole issue is all about. And that's why I wrote my book, Left of Trust, because it's all about not what's going on in the professional's head that's going to get them hired. It's what's going on in the potential client's head that's going to get them hired. And that's an entirely different conversation.
And that is what we want to know. How is it that the client thinks, and how is it that an individual thinks and thinks that my credentials will speak when it has to speak, whereas the client is listening to something else, if I understand it. Help us understand the client's mind so that millions and millions of, people who are waiting for those clients to say yes, they get their yeses for themselves.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So what is actually going on with the client, and why do the attorneys or other professionals who get the clients, why do they get them? Here's what's going on. Think about reality. Let's say you are a parent in a family. You got a mom, a dad, 2 kids, and a dog, okay? And you're living your life and you're trying to go about getting everything done. And then one day you get a letter in the mail. And you open the letter, and the letter says that you owe somebody some enormous amount of money, maybe medical bills that just overtook all of your finances. And as soon as you see that and you realize you don't have the money to pay that, you become fearful because, oh my God, what am I going to lose my house? Am I going to go bankrupt? What am I going to do? So the client starts from a place of fear. And when they're afraid, they want to find comfort. And the way that they find comfort these days is they go online and they start searching. What happens when I get a letter that says I owe all these medical bills? They're not searching for bankruptcy attorney. They're not searching for your credentials. They're searching for a solution to their problem. And the whole point here is that professionals who understand that the client wants comfort. At the bottom line of everything else, they are searching for comfort. And the way they get comfort is they find someone who has put information and material out that's accessible to them that addresses their fear. They don't care about your degree at first. They don't care about what other cases you've won at first. They care about, do you understand my problem? And can you help me solve my problem? And that's the whole basis of Left of Trust and everything that we then do to help build that trust so that you do become the chosen attorney.
Absolutely. But Andrew, in this, a lot of people are searching or looking for something in their own way. And to micromanage their expectations from that angle, will that dilute my core expertise, even though that will be one of my big specialities and that person has to understand? Also, will this lead to, low-hanging fruits, low-value clients? And then I will start losing the big ticket clients, which I'm actually aiming for. How does that calibrate, Andrew, on the ground?
Right. And those are great questions. And that's sort of the traditional thinking, which gets the professional in the place of realizing that they're not getting clients. And they wonder why. And the reason they're not getting them is because they have to look at the situation from the inside out. In other words, like I said, a client doesn't go on, or a potential client, the one with the real problem who is willing to pay to get that comfort that they need, they don't even know the language of what they're looking for yet. All they know is they have this letter that is devastating them and they're filled with fear. So the professionals who actually get the clients are the ones who can address that fear and understand that that's what the client is looking for, is comfort. And I'm going to share with you briefly a study that was done in the 1950s that really lays this out. And also, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a story in the news just a few months ago about Punch the Monkey, a monkey in Japan that was rejected by its parents, and the whole world sort of fell in love with Punch. So here's what the study was. His name was Harry Harlow, and he was at the University of Wisconsin. And he did a study where he took baby monkeys, and he created two different surrogate mothers for them. One was a wire mother that provided food and sustenance. The other was a cloth mother that provided comfort. And then he studied what happened. Well, he found that the baby monkeys would spend 80% of their time or more with the cloth mother because they were searching for comfort. And they would only go to the wire mother when they needed food. They would get their food and they would go back to the cloth mother. Same thing with professionals. People are searching for comfort, and that's what they want. They will look at your degrees and things when they absolutely need to at that point of the decision process. But the thing that's going to get them to even know about you or to look at your degrees is you have provided material, whether it be YouTube videos, blog articles, LinkedIn posts, social media, whatever it may be, where they find, oh, here's someone who understands my needs. Let me go research more about this person.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how do they finally then decide on who to say yes? Means they will shortlist whoever they have to shortlist. And what makes them decide on finally this is the right expert? Do they decide at that point in time before they actually have the conversation? How does that work out?
So a professional who understands this process will be chosen before the person even calls them. because this person, let's say the mom in the family is dealing with these medical bills because the father was in the hospital, okay? At 3 o'clock in the morning, mom is up in bed on her cell phone searching for answers because she's got young kids in the other room that she needs to provide for. And she's got a sick husband who's, recovering from whatever the illness may be. So she's searching and she doesn't even know what to search for. She's just typing in, medical bills. What do I do when I have too many? Am I going to go bankrupt? And in that, she's going to start to find some messages from the attorney who understands what the needs are and has content out there addressing these real questions. And nowadays with AI search, that's going to rise right to the top because it's looking for answers to questions that people have. And the way the whole process works is she will find maybe a YouTube video that an attorney put out. And the attorney will start to describe the process. And in the description, will use their own language. They'll use certain terminology. They'll use certain words. And she'll hear a word for the first time that she didn't realize was related to this. And she's like, oh, let me go look up more of that. Then she'll start searching that terminology. And because this particular attorney uses that terminology in all the different social media posts and blogs and things they put out there, she starts to find that person show up more and more and more. It's the recency effect that was studied by Bader-Meinhof, and they call it the frequency illusion. That if I say to you, oh my gosh, there's a lot of red cars on the road, and you never thought about red cars on the road. As soon as I say that to you and you go outside, you're going to start to see all sorts of red cars because it's the frequency illusion. So the mother in this case starts to find more and more and more content because she's using the terminology that this particular person uses in their content. And so she's already locked in. This is the person for me. This person understands me. They're describing exactly what my problem is. They're telling me that there are ways that I can go about reducing this problem and reducing my fear. That brings me comfort. Now I'm going to pick up the phone and call. I've already decided I'm hiring this person. I don't need to call them and interview them and decide is it going to be this one or that one. The decision has already been made. That's left of trust, and that's what gets you hired.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what is the solution here? How do professionals make sure that they create enough trust? You have your credibility generator also. Is that the final solution, or is it part of the other solutions? What are the solutions you can give for the professionals and
Sure. And that's a really important piece of this whole thing. So like I said, I'm a professional myself. I was doing this myself. This is why I developed what I call the credibility generator. And here's the deal. The more that I can be out there on the web in the places that my potential clients will be looking for answers, the better off I'm going to be. My challenge, and the same challenge of every other professional out there, is I'm trying to run my practice. And now you're telling me I've got to spend hours and hours and hours researching SEO terms, learning how to incorporate them into blogs, learning how to write a proper YouTube video script so that people will actually watch it. Then I got to buy equipment and stand there and record the video and edit the video and post the video and put the blog out and stay up with LinkedIn and keep my Google business page going. It is impossible to do. You can't do it. I've been doing it for years. I'm sitting here talking to you in my studio, and if you could see around me, all the lights and cameras and all the different things that I've had to invest in to put together. And I realized I can't even do it for myself. How am I going to have other people do this? So I needed to build a tool for me. And I built what eventually became the credibility generator. And what is a credibility generator? We are in beta now. We're just about to come out with it live. You can learn more about it at bepicked.com, which is be-picked, picked.com. And what the credibility generator does is it takes all the things I just mentioned and does it for you. Meaning, you log in to your account, and the first thing that's going to come up is, well, you're going to set up your account. You're going to link it to YouTube, LinkedIn, your Google business page, and a blog site. And then you have the ability to create an avatar of yourself, your face, your voice, creates an avatar. So it's a digital twin. And then you open up Credibility Generator and it says, here's the top 5 things that people are searching for about your topic this week. So maybe one of those is, will I go bankrupt if I have large medical bills? And you say, I picked that topic. And then the Credibility Generator goes and it develops through AI, it develops a blog post for you, properly formatted with SEO, properly formatted for AI search engine. And it gives you that information. And you can edit it if you want, but once you press approve, it automatically posts your blog out on another website, links back to a professional profile that we have for you. So you have all of your information there. And then it moves on to the next thing. And the next thing is it generates a LinkedIn post for you. Again, you edit it, you approve it, it gives you a post, it gives you a picture that goes with the post, and automatically posts it to LinkedIn. And then it moves to the next thing, and it automatically posts on your Google business profile that you've now put up a new blog article and there's content for people to see. And then it does the most magical thing of all, is it creates a proper YouTube video script, SEO, AI optimized, proper format to get in people's attention and have them watch. And then you don't have to be there. It takes your avatar and it records the video for you, not like a robot, but like a real person, because you can choose the setting, the background, the clothing. You can choose whatever you want, or choose from one of other hundreds of avatars to speak for you. And then it records the video and automatically posts that as well. So what takes me hours and hours and hours for each and every one of those steps now takes a few minutes. And so that's why I created the Credibility Generator. And when a person uses this, they now have the ability to get out all across the web in the right places with the right content that is all consistent with each other. So as I said, when someone is searching, they start to find you everywhere. Well, that's because you are everywhere. So that's the basics. So, if someone wants to learn more about it, like I said, we're in beta testing right now. We plan to go live within a month or so, but they can learn more at be-picked.com and look up the Credibility Generator.
Absolutely, Andrew. Let's understand it this way, from the mistakes side. What are the professionals actually, in terms of making mistakes so that they can be found the right way? Let's look at it from that angle, then perhaps it will be more helpful.
Okay, sure. So I pay attention a lot to forums that people write into online. And again, I'm focusing on attorneys here, but it's any professional. But I'm using attorney as an example. So you go into attorney forums, and you can look at Reddit, and you can look at Quora, and you can look all across the web. And they're asking each other this question: how do I get more clients? Why do people keep clicking on my ad, but then they don't hire me? It's because there's a difference between being found and being picked. Being found means people know that I exist. Maybe I have good SEO. Maybe they got referred to me. Maybe they found out about me in some way or other. And I see the answers to all these questions. Oh, you got to have good SEO, good SEO, good SEO, good SEO. That's all they know is good SEO. Well, good SEO is important to be found, less important today with AI search engines because they don't look at it that way. They look at your question and answer format. But the mistake they make is they'll go and invest a bunch of money into someone who's going to do a bunch of SEO for them, and they'll have a beautiful website, and they'll talk all about how wonderful they are and their great degrees and all the great cases they've done. And people will find their website and they will look at it, and it doesn't answer the question that leads to comfort, and they'll move from their website onto the next website. And when they find the one that answers their questions, that's the one they're going to hire. So the biggest mistake is not understanding the whole concept that I'm describing here, the whole purpose of left of trust. You got to understand where the client is coming from. What's their mindset? What do they want? Ultimately, the answer is they want comfort. How do you bring them comfort? You make them feel comfortable by understanding that you can help them out of the situation they have.
Absolutely. One practical aspect is that do all professionals wait for only these sort of clients in distress? There are many clients, high value clients, who take their time to actually understand the professional, their credentials, their standing. They are not in distress, and then they actually engage them for high value work. Again, I said, how do you calibrate both sides of these two things when you are making that outreach online?
Sure, sure. So when we talk about your degree and the, information related to you and your success and your abilities, yes, that's important. But that is one of the pieces of material left to trust. So what I call it TICS, and TICS, TIC, it stands for trust is the inevitable conclusion. And ticks are all the different things, all the different material that you put out there for people to be able to read and consume and learn about you. Some of the ticks are videos and social media talking about what the client's problem is. Some of the ticks are your degrees, your successes, those types of things, your licenses, all those types of things. Those are all bits of information that the person consumes before they make a decision about you. So in order to help people identify where their weaknesses are, I actually put together a free assessment through a tool on the website that they can use. Again, they just go to bepicked.com and they will see a button there to take the free assessment, and you'll be surprised when you take that assessment. And it's very easy to understand what the questions are, but you'll be shocked when you find out your strengths and weaknesses.
Absolutely, absolutely, Andrew. Let's understand about your book, Left of Trust. What does that mean? And also, who is this book for? Is it only for professionals, or others can benefit from it? And what else have you got in the book that we did not discuss right now?
Right. Thank you. So obviously, a book has a lot more information that we can talk about in a brief podcast. But the purpose of the book, it was written to an audience of professional service providers as a thought leadership type of piece. And a lot of people may be familiar with Simon Sinek, and his book is Start With Why. And that was kind of, when I read that book and studied those things, that sort of brought me to the understanding that I needed to write my book. And why did I write my book? My book is the other side of what Simon Sinek did. It's sort of the answer to, Start With Why. Because Start With Why says, here's what businesses do. Businesses, people buy what you do, not what you do. Excuse me. People know, you need to understand why you do it. They don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. That's Simon Sinek's, main point. And my point was, okay, that's great for businesses to understand, but let's look at it from the potential client's perspective. The client, they want to know why you do it, but they also want you to provide them comfort. So we flip it, and this book is sort of the answer to Simon Sinek looking at the other side. He's correct, but this is just the other side of it. And so in the book, we get into understanding, what the whole framework is that makes people get to the point of choosing you. We talk about the science behind why this is, and I talk about the Harry Harlow experiments and more. We talk about, the psychological aspects that get people to the point of searching in the way that they search. We talk about pre-conversions, or sort of little tests and things you can do and questions you can ask yourself and explain that. We talk about the ticks and what they are and how they work and how you put them together. So we really go into all of this in a lot more detail, and it puts it all into a proper perspective. So by the time you finish the book, you have a clear understanding of who is my potential client, what is driving them, and what gets them to me, and then how do I go from being clicked to being picked.
Absolutely, Andrew. There is so much to learn about all this, and I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of professionals across the globe would want to connect with you, learn more. about you, about the credibility generator, make use of it, and also learn from your book. What's the best way for them to do so?
So, like I shared, the best way for them to get this information, you can get on the list. The book is coming out in September of 2026. So if you want to get on the list to be notified when it comes out, you can do that through our website. You can also take the free assessment through our website. You can read about the credibility generator and be on the list for that when it comes live. And that's all at www.be-picked.com.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me.